I'm going to answer a question I've gotten from a few different people about geographic farm size. So, as you may know, in the hyperlocal, hyperfast real estate agent, I talk about the principle of STP, which is segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So, it's just a way of looking at the market, picking which segment you're going to target, and then positioning yourself to that market. So one of the ways that you can do it, and which was important in starting my career, is a geographic farm. So people have asked, how big should your geographic farm be? Well, there is a range, but it kind of does depend. So it's got to be big enough that there's enough business in there for you to actually, be able to run a business off. So if you get 100% market share of 5 transactions a year, that's great that you got 100% market share, but that's not enough to run a business. So there is a certain size it has to be. I would generally say that's going to be at least 200 to 400 homes, because when you factor in typical turnover rates of 5 to 10%, that's going to give you enough potential transactions to work with. It's also got to be small enough that you can have an effect or an impact. If you get too big, it's going to be too hard to have enough time, energy, and marketing dollars to communicate an effective message that will have enough energy to break through. So once you start getting to a couple thousand, unless you're an established agent with successes in nearby, adjacent, kind of similar areas, it's going to be a little hard. So typically I'd say the number could be anywhere from 200 to 400 up to as much as 2,000. A couple factors to look at when you're deciding on how big your farm should be. One is the turnover rate. You should do a backward search of a couple of years and kind of figure out the annual turnover rate, because while number of homes is important, it's also important to know how many homes are turning over. So that's going to be different in every area, but you need to know that number. You also need to know what other agents have a presence in that market. So very typically you'll see where there are 3 agents kind of dominating in the area. One that has the lion's share of the business, the top market share, a second person that's about half of the first, and then a third that's close to the second but not quite there. So if you see an area that has 3 strong agents, I would be wary of that. I would look for areas that have no more than 2, ideally less than that. In a perfect scenario, you can find geographic farms that don't have an agent dominating it yet. Where you can find those is in new construction communities. So, those homes haven't been around long enough to have resales, but resales do come in new construction communities after the first 3 years or so. That was kind of how I started off in the building that I marketed. So look for those opportunities. And just be one of the first movers to go in and market to them, 3 to 5 years after completion would kind of be the target. So you'd want to start your marketing efforts year 2 and 3. But if you can find an area that doesn't have 3 agents, that has good turnover, and you're committed to marketing to them, this is the last key. For 6 or more months, then you should have a good start. A lot of people, though, give up after a few months, and it's right before they were potentially going to see results. So make sure once you pick a geographic farm that you commit to it for at least 6 months, maybe more. And again, you need to look at the turnover rate, the agents that are already dominating it, and be committed to it. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, as always, please let us know.